Would you rip out a tooth to prove your love? Back in ancient times, if you loved someone, you would rip out a tooth in exchange for their love. Or even battle to the end to prove you cared for one another. Very different from today's love stories, where we just simply swipe right to show if you like someone. Love was war, and romance wasn't for the faint-hearted. From the Viking shield maidens proving their prowess to the Fijians exchanging their teeth, dating in ancient times was not for the weak. In today's day and age, a couple can just walk to the courthouse, and within the twinkle of an eye, they're declared husband and wife. That's a far cry from the ancient Vikings experience. People had to fight for their right to love, and not metaphorically, but literally. And no, the men weren't the only ones fighting. The women joined in the fray. They had to prove their mettle. The Vikings had well-trained, battle-ready women called the shield maidens, who fought alongside their male counterparts. These women weren't afraid to lead the line on the battlefield, and they never backed down, all in a bid to prove their worth to the men. Unlike today's men, who are attracted to the soft, feminine side of women, ancient Vikings preferred battle-hardened, swashbuckling ladies who'd slain a few foes on the battlefield. Kind of like Xena. The men weren't left out of the fight either. They had to take part in marriage trials, which were a series of quests or challenges to win the hand of their maidens. The quests were no mean feats either, as some of the men had to scale giant mountains, fight off dangerous beasts, steal heavily guarded treasure, or pass through a wall of flames. Life in those days was tough, and so was marriage. So they had to ensure that they were well prepared and suited for the journey of a lifetime. No wonder men rarely cheated. Imagine fighting the fiery red dragon for just 5 minutes of pleasure with a lady down the street. Imagine Thor and Wonder Woman as ancient power couples, proving their love through epic challenges. I'm curious to know the extent you'd go for the ones you love. I'll be reading your interesting thoughts in the comments section. Ancient Fijians, though, didn't have to complete daunting tasks to bed a woman. Theirs was a lot less extravagant. They only had to exchange their teeth. Now hold on a moment. Let's think about this. The thought of losing a permanent tooth for just a bit of "how's your father?" and now count, you've roughly 32 teeth in your head. I'd say you might want to think seriously hard if you plan on being a playboy. But for the right lady, I'd remove my teeth any day to win the woman of my dreams versus chasing away a hungry, ferocious lion terrorizing one small Viking village. The only issue with the Fijian teeth exchange was no anesthesia was used. So it's a typical case of no pain, no gain. But think about this. What if you yanked out a molar and the lady had no interest in you? Yikes! So now what? You meander around the village holding up your tooth looking for someone willing to play along? Hello, I've got a free tooth here. Anyone? Anyone? I don't think I'd be cut out for this kind of ritual. Actually, though, in truth, the teeth exchange was a sign of love, more akin to the ring exchange that we have in modern times, but with a painful twist. Interestingly, though, there'd be no slacking in this endeavor. Only the healthiest and strongest teeth were allowed, not the rotten, wobbly ones that had seen their best days. You had to prove your love, and pain was the only way. Would you exchange a tooth for love? Comment below. In ancient Fiji, the way to the heart was paved with agonizing pain, but in the ancient Apache lands, it was whistling. Men had developed intricate whistling skills that could melt the hearts of women. In our days of youth, we used Lionel Richie, Luther Vandross, and Celine Dion's song to woo fair ladies. However, the Apaches preferred whistling, as there were no record albums or players to help them sweep love interests off their feet. So they would often climb up the windows or the tallest tree closest to the girl's room and whistle the night away. If they had strong vocal cords, they would stand in the middle of the street and compose the most complex tune the girl had ever heard. But here's the most intriguing part. Each whistle was unique and was known only to the lover and beloved. This was to avoid confusion between the different sets of lovers that might be on the same street. Yes, the ancient Apache had an assorted array of singing birds that ushered in the morning sun. But more often than not, their cooing was overshadowed by the passionate whistles from passionate men. This could become complicated if you're not paying close attention. Let's take a vote. Would you prefer the cooing of a bird to the sweet melodies of a whistling partner? Hit the like button for cooing bird and the subscribe button for whistling partner. While Apache men whistled their way into the hearts of their love interests, the Mongolian men did the opposite. They wrestled the women they loved. Yep, fight the woman if you want to win her heart. Picture a WWE-style wrestling match as a date. Mongolian couples took love as a battlefield to a whole new level. Thank you, Pat Benatar. If you lose, you don't deserve her. But if you lose, you might want to pack your things and leave the village altogether. Oh, the shame. The public wrestling match was often referred to as the Mongolian bridal fight. The match was usually organized as part of the Hungurun tradition and was also designed to test the prowess of the woman as well. I mean, we can't have a weak woman marrying a strong man, now can we? That would destabilize the universe and bring on the apocalypse. Okay, I was just kidding. The main purpose of the fight was to test the man's strength, but the woman's strength was also not overlooked. People from all walks trooped in to observe the wrestling spectacle, and the prospective groom dared not fail, or he would become the butt of all jokes. If he did lose, the woman might not necessarily reject him, but she definitely would be the one calling the shots at home. Gender equality, anyone? While the Fijians were removing their teeth, and Mongolian men were fighting the love of their lives, the Mayans were literally giving their blood for the ones they loved. They believed that giving out that red liquid would strengthen the bond between them and hopefully convince the gods to bless their union. In preparation for the bloodletting ceremony, the prospective couple would abstain from food and go through an elaborate purification process. The whole process was supervised by a shaman who would guide the participants on what to do. Once they were ready, the ceremony began. Often the bridegroom and his bride would cut or pierce themselves, or would have the shaman do that for them. The couple would pierce their tongues, ears, or other parts of the body and collect the red liquid on a piece of cloth. The cloth would then be burned, and the rising smoke carried the offering to the gods and ancestors. Once the gods accepted the union, the couple was free to go home and engage in their passionate desires, albeit with slight pains in their tongues and ears. Imagine a Mayan royal proposing a grand gesture of devotion, like a mix of Game of Thrones and ancient romance. The ancient Babylonians had it easier than the Mayans, and their dating life was much more fun than the whistling culture of the Apaches. Think of it as an ancient version of The Bachelor, with a lot more public bidding and less reality TV drama. Once a man spotted a woman he admired, he entered into a bidding war to win her heart and mind. The potential brides were arranged in public, and suitors placed bids. Men presented various expensive gifts and dowries to the one they wanted to woo. Often the prettiest maidens had the most competitive bidding wars, as every man at the auction would want a piece of that pie. In the end, the woman went home with the highest bidder, and the losing men went home to lick their wounds and return another day to try their luck. Instead of arranging maidens to be auctioned off, the ancient Chinese had professional matchmakers who joined lonely hearts together. It is similar to modern-day dating shows, but with a divine twist. Instead of popping balloons and running down to each other, as common with modern dating shows, the matchmaker would use zodiac signs to ensure compatibility. They didn't have to fight like the Vikings, remove their teeth like the Fijians, or spill red liquid like the Mayans. All they needed was for the stars to align, and they'd be united in holy matrimony. Imagine a mix of Tinder and astrological guidance for the perfect match. Aztec dating involved elaborate courtship rituals, including ceremonial dances and the exchange of symbolic gifts like cacao beans and ornate feathers. These dances were a way to showcase one's suitability as a partner, with each move carrying deep cultural significance. Picture an Aztec dance-off like Dancing with the Stars, where every move could win you a soulmate. Dating in ancient times was a mixture of fun, adventure, and wrestling, depending on the culture. But you know what else was intriguing? What people ate in the days of old. Click on this video to find out some of the most nauseating foods ancient people ate, and I'll see you there. But I'll be bringing my own lunch, thank you. And until next time, thanks ever so much for watching.